Welcome back. Well, today I am joined by Dr. Hovanessian, who is here with Harvard Eye Associates.
How are
Thank
you?
you so much for being with us. How are you?
I'm fabulous. It's great to see you. Yeah, I was just saying how nice it is that you're coordinated between your dress and your the painting behind you.
And the painting, yes. Well, I'm
Every day.
crying today. Well, thank you so much. And we were talking a little bit before we went on, and you know, the haze and the smoke has been really horrendous for a lot of people, not necessarily just because they can't breathe very well and now we're wearing masks, so it's even worse, but also for our eyes. And I would have to say that my eyes they're tearing a lot rather than being dry. So there are multiple things that could be happening, right?
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. It is just crazy and bad for our eyes right now. Fire season, comes at this time of year when the air is starting to get drier as the weather cools. And so we end up having the assault of dryness of our eyes on top of this particulate matter that's floating around. And then on top of it, sometimes we get all the wind blowing. We get Santa Anas that blow from the desert, and then we get all the allergy producing stuff in the air. So it's over. Our eyes are suffering right now.
Man. Well, so dry eye is a problem for a lot of people now, and then you mentioned also throughout the year.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What actually is causing dry eye?
It's a frustrating problem, and it's body chemistry in a word is what causes it. But certainly environmental factors play a role, and age is probably the biggest risk factor. So your odds of having dry eye are equal to your age in a percentage. So if you're 60 years old, you got a 60% chance of having dry eye.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us have it at some point in time. And we may not always notice it. We may not always be aware of it. Sometimes the symptom is just that our vision is blurry, sometimes and clear other times. Sometimes it feels like our eyes are burning or sensitive. But all of those things cause it. Age, by the way, other things I didn't mention are hormones, medications like high blood pressure medication, some cholesterol medications, and hormonal supplements can also be associated with it.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So very interesting. And then surgeries and things like that can also cause dry eyes, right?
You bet. Other diseases and surgery, it temporarily, will worsen dry eye for most people who undergo eye surgery.
Oh, okay.
Anything that just kind of throws you out of sorts, throws off your body chemistry. And we know that as we get older, there are more and more of those things.
Yeah.
And they make our dry eyes worse, for sure.
So in regards to treating dry eyes, there's a variety of things. And one thing that I do tend to use is a re-wetting solution.
Huh?
So
Yeah.
is that the same thing as an artificial tear?
Yeah, that artificial tear is sort of a commonly used term. Technically, the term for them is lubricant eye drops. If you look on every one at the pharmacy, it'll have, on the package, it'll say in little words, under the name, it'll say lubricant eye drop.
Okay. So there's a variety of them that, gosh, you can choose from probably 100 just
There's
at
a
one
whole pile of
location.
them.
So
Yeah.
is there a ranking?
For different people, it's just like skin moisturizers. For different people, different chemistry works better. A couple of general rules. There's two things to think about. One is preservative versus preservative-free. If you're going to take them more than about 4 times a day, it makes sense to go with preservative-free, just so that the preservatives don't cause irritation or sensitivity of their own. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing to think about is how thick they are. So there are some watery tears, and there are more gel drops, and then there's even thicker type gels, and they're usually labeled so you can tell. Sometimes they'll say long-lasting gel relief. So thicker formulations last longer, but they may blur your vision a little bit more. So just you really have to try different things, because even within the non-preserved, let's say the more watery version, try different ones to see what works for you, because what you are sensitive to, what you do well with, is different from the next person.
Okay. On your list, there were a couple that I did recognize, and I didn't know that there were gel type ones. What is the gel made of?
Well, they're different chemistry. Some are made of carboxymethylcellulose, if that means anything to you. Some are made of guar, which is a vegetable product that is gentle on the eyes, but some people might perceive one as being a little more sticky and more blur causing, and other people might say, no, I like that one because it lasts longer for my eyes. So you have to try different things to see what works for your body chemistry.
Do you have samples of stuff? Like if somebody wanted to try something before they went out and bought it?
Yeah, most eye doctors have a pretty good sample of and we get what we get for samples, and we're
Right.
delighted to give them away because we want you to try before you buy. And so ask if you're ever in the office. I mean, we give them away like candy because we want our patients to try them because they're good for you. They're good for your eyes. They'll never hurt you. Even if you take other medications, they're okay to take. Let's say you take glaucoma medication, just separate it by maybe 5 minutes from your glaucoma medication or other eye meds that you put in.
You know, some people tend to use, I think, well, we all did way back when, Visine.
Yeah. So Visine is a brand, and they also make some lubricant drops. And so not everything they make is a no-no. Visine, the redness reliever. So remember I said lubricant eye drops? They'll
Yes.
be labeled as redness reliever. Redness relievers in general you want to avoid because they constrict the blood vessels on the eye. But then when they wear off, they dilate with a frenzy, and so your eyes are more red. And so you put in more drops and then they end up getting more red. And so you end up in this vicious cycle of taking more drops and it works against you. I'll
Wow.
just say one more thing about that, and we don't have any interest in one brand over another, but there's a newer eye whitener medicine, a little more expensive, from Bausch & Lomb called Lumify, Lumify. Lumify is probably safe because it's a different type of chemical. It's a medicine we've had for treating glaucoma for a number of years, so we know how safe it is. So it's probably the safest of the eye whitening drops. And they're fine to use once in a while if you're going to be photographed or you're going on a date. Put them in. It's fine. Enjoy life. But don't do it every day or too often.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Now, the next thing that's coming up, a brooder mask, and it looks refreshing.
Yeah. So, Brooder is one company who makes them, and there are others as well. We don't have a preference for one company, but we've had really good success with our patients. So you can go on Amazon and buy a Brooder mask, Bruder, and it contains fine particles that are like rice that absorb moisture from the air. And then when you heat them in a microwave, so you take this mask and you put it in the microwave for 20 seconds, you place it on your eyes close, and it releases this moist heat that stimulates the glands that produce the oils. We're going to talk about a little bit about the oils in our eyelids. And those are critical to your best defense against whether it's dry eye or irritation from the fire particles that are in the air. So the Brooder mask is a really helpful thing to do. If your eyes ever feel irritated, if you're on screens too much, you are. We all are.
We all are.
You can help your eyes feel better with a Brooder mask. And you do it 3-4 times a day. You can't overdose with it just for 4 or 5 minutes. It makes a big difference.
Now you were saying that we're going to go into the tear. Let's talk about the tear chemistry, and then you could go right into the oil, because between oil and water, it seems like your eye is made up of a variety of things.
Yeah, so the tears are made up of a really complex chemistry, that involves oil and water and mucus actually to have a glassy, smooth surface. Remember, our tears are not only important for comfort but also for vision. It's just like a swimming pool. When the surface is smooth, you can see everything in the bottom of the pool. The eye works the same way. When the surface water on the eye is smooth, because you have a healthy, robust tear film, you can see the world clearly, and when it's not, you see very poorly. So one of the commonest conditions is called meibomian gland disease, or oil or lipid deficiency. It's when the oil-producing glands in the eyelids fail to produce thin, watery, oily secretions that help us to see better. And this is what we go to treat when we use a Brooder mask, because it softens those oils. It kind of literally melts some of the thicker secretions, allows them to flow and form that barrier of moisture. It's like an oil slick on the eye that serves as a valuable, protectant for the eye.
Right. If someone was to have surgery on their eye, does that get damaged?
What happens is the glands themselves don't get damaged, but just like surgery is a bit of a shock to your system, it is to the structures that produce the moisture in our eyes, and so they become dry for a time. And for people who have chronic ongoing issues with irritation in their eyes, for whom artificial tears don't work well, we have some other treatments that really work quite well, and one is called LipiFlow. It's an office treatment that involves treating directly those oil-producing glands in the eyelid by applying heat from the inside where the oil-producing glands are. and gentle pressure. Doesn't hurt. It feels almost like a spa treatment. It lasts 12 minutes, and for the patients who go through it, they're sitting back comfortably, and they almost feel like nothing happened. But there's a dramatic improvement we often see in the comfort of the eyes as well as the vision that lasts for years in many cases, so that they need fewer eye drops and just feel more comfortable. LipiFlow is not covered by most medical insurances, and so there's out-of-pocket cost. So we use it for people who really are bothered by dry eye, but it's quite effective.
So we're looking at a picture that has this little contraption that goes over your eye. Tell me, what is it? Is it like opening your eye, or what does it do?
Well, the eye is, you can't see that it's open under there, but it is open. But the eye is numb, and this actually doesn't, it touches the eyeball, but not on the sensitive clear part. It touches on the outside areas, and the eye is numb. And so it's very comfortable, even though it looks kind of scary. It provides gentle heat from the inside of the eyelid and gentle pulsation. There's just a light bit of pressure that warms these glands and squeezes them just gently to get the oils to flow. And that seems to kind of restart the oil glands so that they begin to work again when they've been stopped by, years of dry eye disease.
Now, this shows just one eyeball being done at a time. Is that pretty much the case?
We usually do both eyes at the same time. Most people want to just have it done, and it's only 12 minutes. So they're comfortable during the treatment. As I said, most people describe it as being like a spa treatment.
Yeah, okay. I want to see how that feels.
It's more comfortable than you'd expect. I've actually had it myself.
People are easily falling asleep when this is going on.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some do actually.
Oh, really? Wow. Well,
most are comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
It's great information.
It's only 12 minutes, so it's not a very long nap, but
well, sometimes they say the quick naps are the ones that are most effective.
That's true. That's true.
Well, that's great information. I'm hoping that people will really, take hold of this, because obviously, like you mentioned, we have so many different things that are toying with our eyesight right now, and the winds haven't even begun. So right. I'm sure that's right around the corner.
Yeah, fire season really is still coming in many ways, and so let's hope that it's a gentle one for us, and that we don't have this terrible particulate matter in the air bothering our eyes. But having all this knowledge is helpful, because the best defense against particles in the air irritating you is a robust, healthy turnover of your tears. So know how to treat dry eye, and you know how to feel better during fire season too.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
It's great seeing you. Thanks, and stay well.
All right, you too. We'll talk to you again.
Look forward to it.
And we'll be right back after this.